This video is pretty much for Gigi, which I think is wonderful because I love her anyway. And so I'm repping us, girl, with the unicorn decor today. Ooh, I didn't do anything to my brows. When did we start spending 30 minutes on our brows, though? Like, is it just me? Did you ever wonder that? You know, in this new, this is not shade at all. I'm just really like, when did bitches start spending 30 minutes on brow and having brow problem? Like, why? I'm finna do my brows right here in the beginning of this sesh. Show you how complicated it is for a bitch like me. This is the extent of my brow job. There. There. Boom. But I'm watching these little girls, like, put in work on their brows. If they would put that much work in on themselves. And I'm going to get right into it so I don't keep you all day because it's your Easter weekend. Easter 420 Earth Day weekend too, right? Although you're probably watching this when you have good enough plenty time to watch it. And that's the beauty of these videos. You can watch it at your leisure. And my love for you doesn't change. You cannot ever watch it and I still love you. Well, I feel like I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of differing and contrasted thoughts on vaping. I've mentioned before that when vaping first became hot, you know, I did due diligence. And so I started looking up the people that, you know, do a lot of vaping. They have a whole community of vapors. I started looking at them and looking at their videos and stuff. And, you know, even the people who modify theirs, because there are people who modify their vape pens, which I believe, just from my hypothetical information, that my hypothetical information. Now that's information that I know for a fact is fact, even mechanically, biologically, chemically, however it works. I know it's a fact, but I don't know how I know it's a fact. It's just like when I'm meditated and the goddess in me comes up out of me and can detail and explain a phenomena like it's elementary. And I don't know how I do that, but I do it. It's an indigo. You probably experienced that. Because I never met an indigo that I have extended interactions with like this. So the people in my life are amazing humans, but not one of them is an indigo, and I've never seen it. I've never seen it before in the flesh like that. So that's tripping me out. But anyway, so I did my due diligence, and I gathered information, psychologically, and factual data and observation, and what would eventually be experienced. Well, as much experience as I was willing to volunteer, because I'm not trying to be the guinea pig for supremacy. But anyway, so I also watched a bunch of different videos, and I followed a few of the people that I chose to follow in that community. And the common denominator with a lot of them is they all look like meth heads. Now these are people who have been committed to the healthier way of smoking, aka vaping. But to me, even just from the time they started vaping until a couple of years later, they started going downhill. Like, they started looking like they weren't taking care of them. They started looking like meth heads. After a couple of years of being a heavy member of the vaping community, they start all looking like meth heads. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, because their whole selling point was that all you have now is the nicotine and water vapor. Just water vapor. I'm just saying, I don't even know how I know, but I know that there's more to this new multi-billion-dollar industry that they're introducing to the nation right when they start banning public cigarette smoking. Think about how y'all think sometimes about how this shit aligns. Because I ain't gonna lie, I don't always think this logically. Well, I take that back. I often do, but when I'm meditated, my common sense really stands up and goes into high gear. So anyway, so I was watching these people, and I was even telling Mister, I was like, they really promote these electronic cigarettes, but these people look like heroin addicts or meth heads or something. And I'm not comfortable with that. I was like, I want to try it though. I want to try it like a colonized American. I want to try it. It looks convenient. And, they're saying, even though I don't believe it, but they're saying it's just water vapor or whatever. So I want to try it. So what I did was Making the short story long. Anyway, what I did was I ordered some electronic cigarettes from from the actually the pioneers of making electronic cigarettes, if you ask me, because they're the first people that I saw had them. But anyway, they made. I got one of their electronic cigarettes, and they also sell these cartridges that have the what would be nicotine, but they also have cartridges with no nicotine in them, just because they have different flavors, right? For example, what I ended up doing was getting the electronic cigarette kit with chocolate flavored cartridges and no nicotine in them, because I'm not a smoker. So I ordered the cartridges, and it tasted good too. Tasted good, made the air smell all chocolatey. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, I see how smokers could get down with this. You know, it's convenient. You don't need a lighter. You don't need a match. You don't need to roll nothing. You know, you don't need a pack of cigarettes with you. It smells like air freshener. It smells delicious. Smells fruity, whatever you end up getting, flavor you end up getting. I get it. But at the end of the day, when I took a good look at these people who are heavy vapors, something didn't look right to me. So I wanted it to experience it. I did get a scratch in my throat, but a lot of smokers talk about having a hit in the back of your throat. So I think that's a good thing for them or whatever. But just didn't feel like, it didn't feel like all I'm doing is water vapor. Like some other stuff don't feel right. I didn't feel high or anything like that. But just, it didn't leave my esophagus feeling untampered with. So I felt like something else was in there doing some other stuff. I don't know if it was another chemical or not. I don't know if it was some of the remnants from the metal from the electronic cigarette. I don't know if it's a combination of the heating element, and I don't know. I knew something wasn't right. Also, in the meantime, one of Mr.'s co-workers, friends, they used to go out after work to the bar to shoot pool. They were shooting pool. This motherfucker's whole thigh and groin exploded and blew up and caught fire. Exactly like the situations that you hear about it, that you heard about, like maybe once or twice. You heard about these vaping pens blowing up in people's face and in their pockets and stuff like that. And there was one video that was going around, but they're gonna stop that. They don't want that to go viral. Yeah, we actually knew somebody that happened to in real life. And then after that, I also saw a whole different case of another dude that it happened to on the news. I did a video on that too, I think. I might, if I find it, I'll slip a clip in, but of that in. But anyway, let me make the short story that I made long back short again. Ultimately, when canaculture picked up vaping as a primary option, I remember when they were saying how you get like 90% of the potency. Because I had looked into one of those box vapes. That was the very first vaporizer. Those little wooden boxes. They said all that was left was your used bud would just be this brown, and it had a smell of burned popcorn. So it wasn't a great smell, but it was, if it got the job done, it got the job done. Problem was, it's a whole ass story about this. You asked though. If you get sick of this part of the story, you can fast forward until you see the next question come up, because I'll put that in neon green text, so you can fast forward to the next question if you get sick of this particular story. Anyway, I wanted to try that wooden box, so I did try that wooden box, and the stuff did. We were kind of excited because like I'll use less flour, right? Because they say you could use that flour over and over again. Like, even if you tried to smoke used vaped material, it would still do the job. It would still get you high. They said you could cook with it afterwards and make some pot brownies or something. First of all, the used bud did stink, which is fine if it got the job done. But between me and you, they have been telling us lies, because it wasn't getting me any higher than smoking. Using this vaporizer, this box vaporizer, it wasn't getting me any higher than smoking. So that means that I was using just as much, if not more, material and getting less effect. But they were sure marketing it as if you could use less material, like you'll use up less weed, you'll waste less weed, and it's more potent because you get more of the THC percentage when vaping. And both of those things, from my findings, proved to be false. They'll still tell you otherwise though, because they selling them pens. I know. I got some. I got some of those pens. Before I wrap this up, to be fair, maybe they're beneficial with concentrates. But I was doing this all with flour. So maybe maybe everything I just said should be thrown out the window when it comes to concentrates, because maybe that's what vaping is really set up to promote. Because I'm a flower girl. Although I have my version of concentrate that I use medicinally, that I specifically use medicinally. Though it has adult not recreational, although it has the benefits of, because relaxation is also medicinal. Okay, wellness benefits. But yeah, ultimately, I don't have a problem with can of vaping. I probably would do it either in a rut or if it was a discrete situation and that's all I had. I would do it. But in general, as it stands, I don't do it and I don't want to. I don't do it and I don't want to. Because I think there's a whole lot more stuff that they're not telling us about the effects of vaping. And if you notice, you don't hear about the stories about people's pens exploding anymore. But that does not mean that shit is not still happening. You know, I always got a crazy answer for everything. I just can't answer normal. Oh, I love them. Oh, I don't like them. I gotta have an old down the rabbit hole ass conspiracy theory ass answer. What? You don't want to ask any questions, so I got time. I got time to answer your question. How about I answer it, right? I'm grateful for dispensaries, for the people that are free. Dispensaries are the symptom of legalization in general, and that's the ultimate goal. Then you want to, then you cover other such struggles that need to be tackled in the industry. And really, this is new to everybody now because it's been so long since cannabis has been legal, and since they worked so hard to demonize it since prohibition. So I'm thankful for dispensaries because they're a symptom of what is becoming our eventual national legalization. And I'm glad that people have a place to go to get their product. And not only get their product, be, for the most part, educated, re-educated about it, and to even further learn about different strains, even though I don't subscribe to strain reviews per se, but even be educated about the benefits of different strains and their strengths and the components that make them do the things that they do. That's so educational. And Mother Nature alone is just mind-blowingly impressive, if you think about it. And so I like dispensaries for the flexibility, the freedom and flexibility they give people to access and to learn more about what they are accessing. But I also believe that the system understands that dispensaries will be the vehicle through which they tamper with everybody's shit, basically. To avoid making a whole nother long ass story. Basically, dispensaries will be the vehicle via which they contaminate everything, because check it, there's a reason why they're going to have their particular tests, and that product has to go through testing. And it's so easy to tell the canna community we're testing for pesticides and other contaminants that may be harmful to your body, when they learned of its benefits from people who was growing it in their yard somewhere. So you learn that this raggedy in the streets in the woods grown ass shit, in some regular dirt grown ass shit, you find out that this has life-saving qualities. And you stick your nose in it and say we have to make sure it ain't poison. You have to make sure the thing that you've learned save lives, that you knew saved lives, but we're going to act like you want us to act like you didn't know. But this thing that you learned saved lives, you're like, oh, this saves lives. Let me hold that so we can examine it and make sure it don't poison nobody. What, government? The thing that you just learned save lives? You need to make sure it don't poison nobody. The thing that saved a life. But I'm going to let them finish saying that they need to do testing to make sure it meets certain standards. The real question is, what standards are they meeting? But anyway, that's how I feel about dispensaries. I'm very thankful and grateful for them. I think they're fantastic. I shout out to the people shout out to everyone that has access to them and the ability, again, to get more education on it. So, love dispensaries. I think I have a unique edible story. So, I was over 30 before I even started smoking weed. Put that out there. And so once I did, that's all I did, of course, and as I learned more, learning more is what made me venture into it in the first place. Because I started realizing just how much they had been lying. I knew they had been lying. I knew for a while they were lying about its deadliness. I knew that. I've known that for a little while. Not that long, no, but anyway, I've known that for a while. But as I learned how contrarily good it is for your wellness, overall wellness, it made me investigate more things, more ways. And, everybody heard about pop brownies when we were young. So, in my mind, well, first of all, let me start by saying I just learned how to make boxed brownies about 5 years ago. That's when I learned how to get boxed brownies right. So that's how culinarily challenged I have historically been in my life in general. I'm much better now. Thank you very much. Thanks to Mother Nature. Because Goddess is good. And all the time, she is good. So in my mind, all you do for pop brownies is put the cannabis in the brownie mix. Either or sprinkle it on top of there. I'm just thinking maybe it would have worked if I put it in the actual mix. Put it on top. Anyway, so I was curious about pop brownies, so I tried it. And so in trying it, I didn't do any due diligence, which I normally always do. So I just put the cannabis in there and made the brownies and nothing. So I went on the internet and I realized that, it has to be in your butter. And that's where I learned about making can of butter. And in learning how to make can of butter and not wanting to be wasteful because ain't nobody got no money for that, I gave up on brownies, but I learned how to make cupcakes instead. So I made that butter and I used it to make cupcakes. And they were delicious. Now, my motive for patting myself on the back about it is because at the time, a brother of mine, he needed a transplant. Throughout his illness, he had an addictive behavior when it came to cannabis. By then, I realized I knew what I knew about cannabis and that ironically, he could be actually helping himself by having addictive tendencies toward cannabis. There's other shit you don't want to have no addictive tendencies. Anyway, so he wouldn't stop. It's like, dude, your shit is failing. You need to keep your shit clean. You know what I mean? You need to keep your shit clean. But he wouldn't stop. So, in my mind, I better learn how to make these brownies for my brother. Because he can't stop doing that. Maybe if he could have maybe if he could have pot brownies, so to speak, he would stop smoking. And this was me not realizing that smoking might still be good for him. I was just thinking about, the whole combustion, any kind of smoke, it's not, he needs to protect all of his facilities, every cell. That was my motivation for figuring this shit out. And I realized if I couldn't get the brownies together, okay, then I'm going to get some cupcakes. And they had to be chocolate because, regular cake doesn't use as much oil as chocolate. So, and plus everybody loves chocolate. So that made it even better. I'm glad it was chocolate that it had to be. The flavor was the flavor it had to be. So anyway, I learned how to master these fucking cupcakes. And I kept this Negro stocked. So he got to enjoy the liddy effects of his cannabis while the cannabinoids actually entered his body a healthier way and was able to go in there and do what they do. I don't know what the fuck they do, but they do shit. And that's why it saves lives and shit. Because it does shit. So, yeah, I learned how to make those cakes. And when he got sicker, I low-key started making them more potent. Eventually, he had enough of a situation where he had to come clean to his doctor and tell him that he was using cannabis. So they actually prescribed him Marinol, which is their fake-ass cannabis. So he used the Marinol for a little while, but I think eventually he was like, well, if they gave me a prescription for it, but it's for the fake one, why wouldn't I use the natural original one? Again, that's how I feel like they're going to do when they have regulations. So they can prescribe you Marinol, which is synthetic cannabis that they created. But you can't have real cannabis? Make that make sense. Oh, no, 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 no. You can't use cannabis. No, but here. Use this. This is cannabis. Don't worry about it. Use this. You don't want to use that. That's deadly. Do you mean this shit that grow out the ground that they've been growing for centuries? That's what's deadly? But that shit that you went in a lab and concocted and put with gloves and a mask on in the lab, and you mixed all these chemicals till they interacted and made this little, nah. But yeah, I made the fuck out of some cupcakes. There are a few celebrities that have been able to benefit from my cupcakes before any of this was a thing. But even through it all, even with my cupcake connoisseurship, I'm still very aware that there are edibles that can either be made too strong or that people can eat too many. Like, I never ate too many cupcakes. I always started with, for every batch, I started with, when I first tried my cupcakes, I tried a half a cupcake first, then I tried a whole cupcake. You know, I walked my way up to see what the dose was. And I know my brother's tolerance is much higher than mine. So, you know, I knew to make his stronger. And he loved them. And I'm so glad to have been able to play that small role. Although I felt really bad because people made me feel bad. And I still had a lot of my brainwash left in me. But people made me feel bad. Because there was one person that I know this person was speaking for a lot of people. Not a lot. I know he was speaking for more than one person. And so when I would come around, I told my brother and them and his family, don't be telling people that I'm bringing y'all weed cupcakes. Don't tell people that. You know what I mean? You risk my freedom, first and foremost. I'm sorry, I just think about how you have to risk your freedom to save the lives of people you love. It's really not right. But anyway, I was like, don't be telling people that. That's for y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, they did, and they didn't mean any harm, but they did. And so whenever I would come around, I would hear little sly comments like, "That's the cupcake lady." You know, somebody asked me for some. You know, I'm like, I'm not out here distributing drugs. I just want to keep my brother health here. I want to keep my brother here. And then when he's doing good, we can all sit around and joke about cannabis cupcakes and be high off of them. But, you know, wellness is the priority. But I never stop being aware that people have, can, and will again go too far on edibles. Now, I've been curious about it, and so I've wanted to stretch my limits. And so I tried that a couple of times with RSO, that's Rick Simpson oil. And I just went as high as I could go. I just increased the dosage just a little every time. And once I got to the point where I was like, oh, I don't need to get any higher than this, I didn't have the guts to add anymore. And I guess if you're adulting, that's how it should be. You should dose yourself. Always know your dose. Always know your dose, because you messed up. But I see, again, I'm older, so I see how people can get got. Just like the lady that I mentioned a while back who, you know, she smoked weed and she smoked it regularly, but she went to this damn festival and everybody was dabbing and she never dabbed. It looked like a regular bong. It looked like regular weed. She dabbed and it got carried out that bitch on a stretcher and she just had to sleep that shit off at the hospital. You don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want to be like the cops who called the cops for themselves because they ate evidence and thought that him and his wife thought they were dying. They ate too many cannabis brownies. You don't want that experience. But I also say about edibles that I like that I like how long they last. Mr. is not privy to edibles, and so I imagine he speaks for some other people as well, because it differs from me in that he doesn't like how long it lasts. He's like, in that many hours, something could come up, and you want all your facilities about it. He's a problem solver, so he don't want something to pop off, and he need to not be high to handle it. So he doesn't like the idea of being high longer than you potentially want it to be. You know, he doesn't want to, not that happens. I haven't experienced that. But he's not the type that would want to go to bed high and then wake up high too. Like, he would be like, no, what the shit, I got shit to do, no. But me, I'm all happy-go-lucky trophy wife and with it. You know, not that I'm a trophy wife, but I'm just saying, if my life were free in this country, I wouldn't wrestle nobody down to be in a position where I could go to bed high and wake up high. I'm just hesitating because that sounds like a completely irresponsible person, but that's the beauty of it. You can be completely responsible and completely have your facilities. And I'm so tired of people painting a picture. Like, I'm laughing about it, but I'm laughing about it because I'm lit, but it ain't funny. You know, people act like you just gonna be stumbling all over yourself if you high. That's why I think it's funny when the uniformed slave catchers like pull a black person over for some minor traffic stop, or not having their sticker updated or headlight out or some dumb shit. And in the report, they need to say there were remnants of marijuana or the car smelled like marijuana. What does that have to do with anything? Because it didn't hinder their ability to drive. Let me tell you something. The beauty of it, again, is that you know what you're doing and you know when to sit the hell down. Like alcohol, you don't know when to sit your drunk ass down. If you're too lit, you're going to be like, y'all, I'm good. I'm going to sit here for a minute and get myself together. You ain't going to be reaching for no keys talking about I can make it home. You're going to be like, nah. I need to get somewhere and sit them down. But they want to paint the picture of irresponsibility to align with cannabis use. Crazy. Sure, you need to be careful. You don't need to be negligent. You need to be more attentive. You in essence will be more attentive. Because paranoia it doesn't end with just paranoia. There are levels. There are some levels of paranoia it gives you to force you to be more careful in doing certain things. Like I always know I'm going to have a candle burning next to me. Not even for the smell, because I personally love the smell. I have come to love the smell of cannabis. But I have the candle there so that I can light my wick twice if it doesn't catch. No, I knew that thing was cashed. I'm trying to show out and do this in the middle of my damn video. Which is fine, because that's what it is. It's a sesh, but to start over, for goodness sake. It's 420. I have such an awesome method of packing, of bowl packing. Y'all don't even realize, and Mr. don't appreciate it. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of edibles. And I also have a theory about edibles maintaining more of the CBD component. And that's one of those things that I know and don't know how I know. Because that's what my goddess be telling me stuff and explaining stuff to me. And so I feel like in oral form, cannabis maintains a higher, more of its CBD content. But I feel like people promote CBD so as not to have the high effect for reasons such as pacifying the idea weed is bad, as was the narrative at the height of war on drug times. The reality is that all the components work in conjunction and work best in conjunction with one another. And it's ideal for whatever your use that you use all components. So I think people who try to strip out CBD, a CBD only product, I think they're missing some wellness components when they try to eliminate or avoid the THC. And plus, it's basically just the whole inhibition that you have about it is steeped in the conversation that weed is deadly. Weed is bad. Oh, but to be fair, I did get an edible from a dispensary, But it was just, they were just like gummy candies. They weren't even gummy bears. They were just like the jelly type gummy sugar candies. And they supposedly had, no. They were 10 milligrams a piece. Because they were $15, 14 something. So they were $15 for 3 little jelly candies in them. And each one had 10 milligrams. Really? I feel like I could have ate all 3 of them and I felt nothing. Which I don't have a problem with, but don't charge me $15 for some candies that you got out the dollar store. Holiday candies that you got out the loose meat candy, sugar candies that you got out the dollar store. And put them in these little packages and charge you $15 a pop for them. Boy, bye. Speaking of dispensaries. But no, yeah, I love them both. I love edibles and dispensaries. I'd be balanced. I just got some shit to say about everything and everybody. I'm just keep that's what real is. That's why people don't like real. Because they're like, oh, why you can't just celebrate? Just overlook all the negative shit. Because it exists, babe. And use that to, first of all, be aware, but then help you know to celebrate the stuff that is good. You look at only the good, then okay, then that's normal. Look at the bad too and be like, oh, you overcame that bullshit, and you came out clean. Good for you. Good for you. That you can celebrate. Not anymore. Not really. I know I sound like that because if I eventually start participating in these events, I'm probably only going to mess with flour because flour is easiest to try temporarily. Yeah, that explains it. Flowers are easiest to try temporarily, so I definitely would publicly prefer flour. Or even privately, if my goal in the process of enjoying it is to just test something out to see what it does. So, in that respect, yes, flowers are a priority. My cousin just said 420 saved his boss an ass whooping. Because he took a hit before he went to work today. He's stupid. He ain't gonna never find no woman to put up with that shit. To put up with his shit. He's stupid. Facts though. Probably facts though, exclamation point. I went ahead and let Siri spell it F-A-X. I think I'm gonna start spelling it like that on social media. Facts. And plus it'll be fun to see the people. Most people know I know you're doing it on purpose, but it's gonna be a couple of people who come by and call you stupid because you can't spell facts, which ironically is hilarious. But anyway, so in general, flowers over everything. But personally, I have gotten to the point where I prefer an oral concentrate. Not so much edibles, but the RSO is so medicinal. And as a middle-aged woman, you know, when you get older, you really do need those medical benefits. Particularly in our nation where we don't actually have a pharmaceutical industry set aside to prioritize human wellness. You know we don't. So, I think as my body ages, I prefer to utilize the medical benefits of regular RSO use. The problem is it's difficult to come by, and if you can't get it, it's very expensive. And if you don't make it yourself, it's expensive, and you're also at the mercy of the person making it for you. So you almost have to make sure it's somebody that you love and that loves you. Number one is make sure that you're getting healthy product. Well, I'll say uncontaminated product, because when I say contaminated, when I talk about contaminated, I'm not even talking about pesticides. I'm talking about what the system is gonna put in that shit. So you have to make sure make it more likely, because it's impossible to make sure. But you want to make sure it's not contaminated, number one. And number two, that whoever you're trusting is not money raping you, because it's expensive. And it shouldn't be expensive. It shouldn't be. And that's why I have reservations about this one dude who's coming up with this. First of all, we haven't gotten racial disparities out of the way. But anyway, you have this dude who now is developing this luxury line of cannabis to be sold at high-end stores. Well, if we're really legalizing it for the right reason, first of all, if we were legalizing it for the right reason, it would just be legal and you could grow it in your backyard. That's if we really gave a fuck. Because how about I don't need the government to test my shit if I grew it myself? But they don't expect that kind of logical thinking, understandably, because they know the society they built. They know how they condition people to think, so they can trust that they're good. But yeah, so dude is coming up with a luxury line of cannabis, and I just can't be on board celebrating him because that's something you think black people are gonna be able to afford. Black people who need it, who could use it most, are gonna be able to afford. Why would you put something in an affordability, something that you're supposed to be offering people to help them, into an affordability bracket that is unattainable by the average person, if that's your goal? He went on to tell his story about how my brother is a USMC veteran. He was on over 15 medications, and I moved him in with me. All I did was give him a good diet, exercise, a lot of love, all the cannabis he could take. Cannabis saved his life. When I saw the way people were benefiting from this, I decided to dedicate my life to it. So you do that by opening up a luxury line of cannabis that regular people can't afford to get to for their own health and wellness, and or to save their own lives or the lives of the people they love. That's how you do it. People are showing you who they are every day. But you know what cannabis activists are going to look at this and say? They're going to say, cannabis activists, they're going to say, oh, that's so cool. You know, he has a high-end brand. He has these valuable strains, or these gold-trimmed red bullshit or whatever. Okay, but is the weed going to get you high? Because that's the end of... Is the cannabis going to benefit you, benefit your wellness? It's still going to do that stuff, right? That basic stuff. Does it do anything different? Would it do anything different than something I would grow would do? But we're going to put the narrative about my dying ass brother. But I know that sounds like I'm hating. I'm just, at the end of it all, I want people to love each other and be able to care for themselves and those that they love. And I know that along with legalization is going to be the supremacy, is going to be the white lash of them tearing out their hair to make sure they stay in the driver's seat. And in the process of doing that, they're gonna get a lot of black activists working for them unknowingly. And that's why sometimes I just decline. But I got a sellout price, bitch. They better not meet that hoe, because I'll get awfully quiet. I won't deny nothing I understand. Y'all gonna be able to bring stuff in the back up in my face and be like, nah, you said you didn't promote these brands because whatever. Bitch, they paid me. But guess what? I get to do more videos. I won't ever deny the stuff that I've been saying. I get it. Some of y'all feeding y'all families with these checks you getting to sell out. But that don't stop me from being able to talk shit. If you're doing some immoral shit that's going to affect a lot of lives in a detrimental way of people that look like you, I'm going to call your bitch ass out on your bullshit. And I don't mind being called out on mine. If somebody meet my sellout price and I'm doing or saying some bullshit, call it out. Hold me to it. Even if I don't like it, I ain't going to be able to say it ain't true. If it's true. Yeah, flowers over everything in general. But in terms of my supplemental wellness, I prefer a medicinal oil concentrate. Race relations, eh? I have a lot of contrasting ideas on race relations because that's how it works. Well, I ain't gotta tell you. You know how it is with truth tellers. The thing is, even as I know what the answers ain't, I don't know what the answers are. I don't know the answers. My name ain't Sway. I don't know the answers. But I do know that Wakanda has some mess to clean up in our own backyard. And that's my primary concern. And the reason why that's my primary concern is not because supremacists aren't responsible for the mess that everyone is in, themselves included. It's because I have no expectations of them. I don't expect them to apologize for what they're doing. I'm not going to say what they've done, because they're actively continuing to do what they've always done, because that's their culture. And we're not going to apologist our way out of this one. We are actively surviving a modern Holocaust. We're under martial law. We're in a severe recession, about to be in the throes of the next Great Depression. And even still, on both sides of the spectrum, until parenting trumps procreation, we're done as a humanity. We're done. We let Trump take us out as a nation, but as a humanity, I don't know what to say to anybody anymore. Because even the people that I do lean toward as conscious people, they're so lost. And we all have some areas where we're more severely colonized than others. But even the people that we expect to take the reins on our civil struggle, man, them people, I don't know. We have to fix race relations, and the breed of us that has been born to manage our existence are currently too busy posting selfies and following celebrity gossip to do the job. And when they approach some level of consciousness, then they go too far off the deep end on that, to the point where they don't have any balance to be able to see anything else. And if you mention it or point it out to them, you're the hater. So the next step for the wise person to do is to kick back, grab your popcorn, and watch all the shiny trains wreck. Because there's nothing you can say or do. So, my opinion on race relations are like irrelevant. There's too much extremism in everyone's side of whatever struggle they're fighting. Multiple struggles, in fact. All at the same time. And it's a tangled web we weave. And it's self-destructive for humanity as a whole. But basically, supremacists is going to keep fucking us up. And we're going to keep not turning the other cheek. So, you and your family, yeah, I love y'all. Y'all be careful out there. Because it's martial law, an organized system, and a hard way to go. Y'all be careful out there, is all I'm saying. Black people, watch your back in this nation. In this nation. It's a whole ass nation. And I mean, even when Becky believes that she means well, you're in danger. I know what you're saying. That's not fair. Blue, that's not fair. There's some really well-meaning colonizers out here. And you're right. There are some well-meaning colonizers out here. But shout out to LL and Brad. An accidental racist is a real thing. So if you expect them to come running between you and a bullet that the policeman got for you, then congratulations on the trust that y'all have built. In such a way that would stop said bullet from murdering your black ass. Because I'm at the point where I get it. Where the love who you love. Really. It doesn't matter. But I'm not here to cape for black women who have a problem when they see black men with white women. I'm not here for that at all. That's petty and it's insecure. And if he loves my thinking is if he loves white women, then I'm going to need him just stay there. That's okay. It's cool. That's your preference. It's cool. But I don't want him coming back and forth over here with black women. Just stay there. You know what I mean? I prefer that if that's their preference, that's just what they do consistently. You know what I mean? Let them have them then. You entitled to that. I just don't want you mixing it up over here. I mean, I'm not saying they carry diseases and whatnot, but I'm just saying that keep your preferences consistent. Keep that same energy. Yeah, I get why. Like if I were a mother, it would be every day of my life would be worried about my son if he was with a white woman. If I had a daughter who was with a white man, I would worry every day about my daughter and her safety. Not because of their partners, not because of their white partners, but because of a society that enables people who look like their white partners to abuse them without consequence. And the fact that their white partners might not be able to save them from it on any given day. That's why those old ladies didn't want you dating white people. That's why those older ladies didn't want you. It was a safety issue, not a race ancestors know that colonizers cannot be trusted, period. The day we see gangs of them get together and go against their own people, instead of telling us how racist they're not, they tell us how racist they're not all the time. How many times do you think that they interrupt a racist conversation amongst people they know or love or like that look like them? How many racist conversations do you think they interrupt to say, wait, that's some racist ass shit, and I'm not with the shits? No, they sit in the corner because they're not racist, and they shake their head like. And to be fair, it's not their job. I don't even expect, like I said, I have no expectations of colonizers, period. I mean, if they seem to be fighting the struggle with us for the right reasons and motives, I celebrate that, and I am grateful. But I'm always aware that if the kitchen got too hot, that even if just to protect their family, if they have children, they could pull out and have their skin to protect them. There is no pulling out for us. We're going to stay brown. The brown ain't going nowhere. There are colonizers in my family and clearly in my professional life who I love dearly. But I'm well aware that there is no safe space in their company. I'm always aware of that. Not even painfully. I wouldn't even say painfully aware. I would just say as a black person in America, I'm aware that amongst them, I am not safe. It's not that I'm safe with black people, but I'm safer from being targeted just because I'm brown in a white environment. So, yeah, ultimately, our race relations are beyond broken. The people who should fix it simply don't want to. They show us regularly they don't want to. And the people who can fix it are afraid to or are colonized not to. And the people who don't even want it enough, not even at the expense of their own children's lives, they would see their own loved ones die before they make things right. And that's the reality of it. Y'all ever had blueberry yum yum? Remember when that song was hot? That's taking it back. I predict that any and everybody is just going to jump into the race because the bar has been lowered to the gutter. And I think there'll be so much of so many things being campaigned on that prioritization of issues gets lost in it all. And instead of stopping the bleeding that we're doing right now, we'll just end up slapping on a weak ass band-aid and continue to spiral down until we actually are the third world country that we have always looked down on other countries for being. At this point, it's just a shit show, and even some people that kind of have decent intentions will end up being smeared for some shit in the name of just smearing them, or exposed for some shit they actually did, and it'll be stuff that really might not even have any relevancy to the promises that they claim to make when they become president. So yeah, it's a whole shit show. And there are so many people that done jumped in the boat. I don't even know at this point. I also think that attitude toward it will cause further imbalance and ironically leave the election again open for them to win again. Because we so busy being all over the place. So we're going to mess around and mess it up for us in the very effort to regain some sort of civility. Doing too much for so little. Doing too much for so little. Yeah, it's a shit show. But at the end of the day, to not vote would be doing like what the super hoteps do. Then you're leaving it again on a different level, still leaving it open for them to slip in there, drag it into the gutter, drag it through the sewer again. So even though I'm expressing frustration, I definitely will vote for someone. I definitely will vote Democratic. But saying that doesn't make me any more hopeful for the choices that there will be. There's a whole guy running that nobody's ever heard of. And I heard he was the first person I ever heard say that he was going to run for president in 2020. Seriously. And I heard him say that back in. I'm not going to tell you who it is because if I find out he's a motherfucker, then I'll be the one that said, oh, yeah, there's this guy running for president. He seemed like he's a good guy. He does seem like he's a good guy. So I've been keeping my eye on him. And so far, so good. But, what can you learn about, well, the way we do it? I got to really get some information from his energy, if you know what I mean. And I'm not able to get that from 100 quick Instagram posts. But I do predict it'll be all over the place. And it'll be so all over the place that it jeopardizes the election again. Because there are too many people running, too many options, and people all over the place on too many different issues without prioritizing those issues before attacking them or even discussing the order in which you intend to attack them. You gotta vote for somebody because that's how we operate in our nation. People be saying, oh, I'm not voting for nobody and your vote don't count or whatever. Okay, you can say what you want to. But at the end of the day, this nation is one where within a democracy, people vote for somebody every so often. Somebody gonna be up there. So your best bet is even if you're spitting into the wind, you figure out who you're gonna vote for. Or else you risk enabling yet another psychopath to run the democracy more like a dictatorship. Because that's what happens when you don't vote. Definitely going the more moral direction, so that's obviously Democrat. More moral, not the moral. Clearly more moral by a landslide, for sure. So whoever I'm with is a Democrat. I think I kind of addressed that with all those other things. I think it's going to be, like when I find something that comes out initially like that, like the hemp oil, that was the first hemp oil I've ever, and we're all familiar with that brand in terms of supplements. Vitamins, minerals, and supplements. In fact, that brand, well, I know I am, in terms of an organic brand for unrefined natural elements. So when hemp became legal, and so a few months later, I see that in a grocery store. Right on the shelves immediately. I was like, wow. So I know that they are reputable. The brand is reputable in terms